All right. We are recording and we are now streaming live to Facebook. And I'm guessing nobody is jumping on quite yet, but hello to Facebook friends. And hello to my Zoom pals too. Nice to see all of you. It looks like Mary ran home really quick. Just saw her like 20 minutes ago here at the church. Ready? We're going to all learn a little bit more about Revelation. It'll be super fun. All right, looks like Lori and Todd and Kim and Jeff too. So thanks for coming, everybody. Let's pray. Lord, we're here. We're going to look at your word again. We want to understand. We want to do more than understand. We want to know how to apply this. We want to be transformed because of this book. Well, really because of your spirit who is working through this book in our lives. So we hope that you would do that for us today. Make us look more like Jesus, and we will give you the glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, here we go. Heaven. We finally made it to heaven. We got stuck in hell for a long time, as Travis said earlier, and now we're getting to get into heaven, and it'll probably take another 19 weeks for us to talk about heaven. Just 2 chapters. All right, it's not really about heaven. It's about the new heavens and new earth. It's about the new Jerusalem. It's about all those cool things. So 1995, here's the Newsweek article in 1995. 77% of people believe in heaven. 76% have a good or excellent chance of getting there. Okay, 77 believe in heaven, 76 are probably going to go. Pretty good. 58% believe in hell, 6% have a good chance of going there, according to the poll. So I don't know what that tells us about things. Woody Allen says, I don't believe in the afterlife, but I am bringing a change of underwear. Don't know what that means either, but it's getting us towards this question of heaven. I think I can probably say that most humans, maybe I could say every human, but I never want to say every. Most humans are concerned about what is next. Right? What's coming next after this? Even those who think the universe popped into existence, I don't think that the universe will pop into nothing after existence. Like, we're all waiting for something to happen. We expect something to happen. So I was reading Eugene Peterson today, and I haven't been reading him lately, and I love the way he puts words together. If you haven't read anything by Eugene Peterson, you should pick something up. But I just have 2 or 3 quotes from him today. He says, heaven is not simply a dream to retreat to when things get messy and inhospitable on earth. Heaven is not fantasy. We have access to heaven now. It is the invisibility in which we are immersed, and that is developing into visibility, and that one day will be thoroughly visible. There's movement, right, towards something becoming more visible. I love that poetic way he says that. Here's another one. Many people want to go to heaven the way they want to go to Florida. They think the weather will be an improvement and the people decent. But the biblical heaven is not a nice environment far removed from the stress of hard city life. It's the invasion of the city by the capital city, of the city by the city. We enter heaven not by escaping what we don't like, but by the sanctification of the place in which God has placed us. That's cool. How do you reach heaven? How do you get to heaven? We're sanctified in the place God has put us. Heaven is this invisible thing that is becoming more and more visible. Right? The Irish and the Scottish used to talk about a thinned veil, right? That there's a place where you're thinner, where it's thinner, where you can see heaven. I've talked about in Bible studies that I've taught in the past, a scrim, right? Where if anybody's in theater, there's that background piece they call a scrim. It's not a curtain. It is a curtain, but it's not a curtain because you can see through it, but you can only see through it when the light shines on it a certain way. And then you see all this other world that's taking place backstage, right? Or the angels or that other world. So it's this thinning world, or this world that's becoming more and more visible. And we can make it more and more visible. So I want that in our heads as we jump into these texts here. What are we going to see in this final chapter? We're not going to see some ethereal strumming on a harp up in the clouds thing. What we're going to see is a city. A city. And if you know anything about cities, cities aren't overly positive in the Bible. They've got a lot of problems. And it's not about the end of creation as we know it. It's about the beginning of a new creation, which is also different. So here's Eugene Peterson one more time. I think only one more time. The biblical story began quite logically with a beginning. Now it draws to an end, not quite so logically, also with a beginning. The sin-ruined creation of Genesis is restored in the sacrifice-renewed creation of Revelation. The product of these beginning and ending acts of creation are the same, the heavens and the earth in Genesis, and a new heaven and a new earth in Revelation. The story that has creation for its first word has creation for its last word. So we're seeing this movement from Old Testament, from Genesis chapter 1, all the way to Revelation 21 and 22, protology and eschatology. Okay, the beginning things and the last things, and they're all heavily connected. If you're not reading Genesis chapter 1 through 3, the Eden narratives, and next to this text, you're going to be missing a lot. Okay, there's trees of life, there's rivers, there's gold, there's different stones. All of that stuff is coming from the garden narrative. All right, he's making all things new. That's verse 5. We're going to get to that. So, okay, so here's this city that he's making new, that he's bringing down. So imagine the readers when they start thinking about this city. The only function that they have of a city is that it will protect them, that it will do these things for them. But the readers of this time aren't feeling that, right? The city has not worked for them. In fact, what they're supposed to do is to abhor the city, to stand aloof from the city, somehow to survive, even though the city is hostile to them, because they've been ostracized by all the power systems in the city. Remember, that's the whole book of Revelation. They're, hold on, it's okay. How long till we'll be vindicated? Just hold on, it's coming soon. Behold, I'm coming soon. That's the world that they're living in, and now it's coming soon. Their goal, not to yield to Babylon the Great, not to yield to this harlot, this great city. And now Jerusalem, the great city, Jerusalem that they know of is average at best, right? And they're not supposed to fall under the influence of this other city, Babylon, Rome. And Jerusalem, remember, in 70 AD, when they're reading this, when they're hearing this, is probably gone, right? We don't know exactly when Revelation is written, but a lot of scholars think it's after the city has fallen. So cities fall. This is where they're at. The great city, Jerusalem, is gone. They're in this city right now, which is crappy to them. And now they're hearing about this other city. Remember cities.
By closing some applications.
Thanks, Kathy. The cities, right? Cain builds a city after killing Abel. He runs and he builds a city. Okay, which is weird, but you have to take my Genesis class to understand that kind of stuff. Right, so he's building a city. Again, what's a city? A city is something that's walled, something that is it is to protect the people inside from foreign invaders outside. That's kind of the idea. It's big enough to be walled to keep them in some kind of place. And Babylon, right? Chapter 11. What, Travis?
I said, and that's why Cain built it, because he was afraid that he was going to get killed and didn't trust God to protect him.
That's exactly right. Yep, he's running. Babylon is a city that that's chapter 11 of Genesis, that they're creating, this ziggurat that goes all the way up to heaven, right? That's what they're trying to build, to connect to the gods, to the Elohim, okay? But that's also a failure. Cities are always designed to keep back the invaders, and because cities assume messiness inside and out. Finally, Rome, that is what they're looking at right now. Rome is this city of rebellion, and they're told to stay away from them all. So you know what a city is like. I don't know what you guys. Anybody live in a really big city that I'm talking to right now? Some of us lived in. Yeah, like DC.
I've been to Cairo.
Okay,
it's a really big city.
Yeah. Right. We've probably all been to really big cities at some point. We know what they're like. New York City is a
recording in progress.
That I promised my wife. Somebody's echoing here. New York City is a city that I promised my wife I would only go to one time every 10 years. I hate it so much. It's only 5 hours from where we lived. I would have nothing to do with it. You know, New York City was actually created as a secular city. It was designed to stay out of religion. I read all that stuff today. It was designed, it was 15 years after its founding before anybody planted a church there, which seems weird. Most cities are planted with a church. Like that's the first thing that goes up, right? It's the center of the city, big steeple and all that stuff. This one took 15 years before anybody planted the city. It was designed to be this secular city. And Peterson says, what living in cities is good for is making money, acquiring power, and practicing deceit. That's what it comes down to. Now, you know that cities can be good, right? But it seems like they decay into not good pretty regularly. And so the biblical theme of a city is almost always negative. Not always. There are good cities. Jerusalem is a great city, right? Because it's supposed to be a city on a hill that everybody can come to. Under Solomon and David, people are coming to look at this city and its wealth and its beauty, and to know that God is a generous God and gives out to his people so that his people can generously share with the rest of the world. Of course, what Israel does is hoards what God gives them, isn't a light shining on a hill, and it's a mess. So once again, even that city isn't what it's supposed to become. All right, so I wrote down what we're going to be talking about up on this incredible whiteboard right here, which you can probably read if you can just really clear, really carefully. What we're going to talk about are the things that are not in the city and things that are in the city. Okay, and I've broken them down into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, because I don't know, it just seems like that's what it should be, right? 7. And I stole it from somebody else and it was really helpful, right? I also realized when I was talking to Davin today, he's like, I said, I'm really studying hard. I got to finish this for tonight. And he looked at it. He's like, how many books do you have out there? I said, there are 7 commentaries that I was reading from all afternoon. I was proud that it was 7 and not 6. There just happened to be 7. So, 7 is important, everyone, right? All right. So the things that are not there: sea, tears, death, mourning, and pain. Character, like growth, personality, thing like you are. Character that's inconsistent with the kingdom. The temple is not there. The sun, moon, and the stars are not there. Closed gates are not there. And the curse is not there. Things that are there is God, glory, creatureliness, like normal things like rocks and rivers and trees, things like material things, stuff. Peoples, not people, peoples. Ethnicity is going to be huge in this chapter. It's very important that it's not white Americans that are going to show up in heaven. For crying out loud. It's going to be it. That's the whole point of it all. Creativity, life, and his face are all things that are going to be emphasized.
For the most part, this is the complete antithesis of all other cities.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, it really is. So we'll deal with each one of these as they come in the verses. So we'll talk about these, and I'll try to hopefully remember to throw you back up here to know, okay, this is one of the things. Because it's not just going to say, unfortunately, it doesn't go in this kind of order, right? First of all, there was no C. Second of all, there was, right, it's going to skip all around. So I'll want to show it to you as we go through it. Are you ready? Chapter
Ready.
21, here we go. Those of you guys who came in late, you missed all kinds of great introduction stuff, but you didn't miss any of the actual text, which is great. All right. Then I saw, wait, you know what? Somebody needs to read at least the first several verses. Let's read up to verse 5, and then we'll go back and walk through it a little bit slower. Somebody read 5 verses for me.
Since I came in late, I can read it.
All right, Randall.
Should we
Then
read it
I
from the
saw-
message since you were talking about Peterson?
Ooh, that would be good. That's right. That's the same guy. If anybody's got it in the message, that'll be great. Oh, it's okay, Randall. But whatever you're reading.
I was going to say, I can pull it up if that's what you want. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "See, the home of God is among mortals. He will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Death will be no more. Mourning and crying and pain will be no more, for the first things have passed away." And the one who was seated on the throne said, "See, I am making all things new." Also, he said, "Write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true."
All right, let's jump back to verse 1. John sees a new heaven and a new earth. The first heaven and the first earth have passed away, and the sea was no more. All right, what grabs you?
That there won't be an ocean for me.
I know, isn't that frustrating? That means no surfing, no boating.
No
Those people on Winona
shells.
Lake are, I guess lakes might be there, but there's nothing really good.
The word new jumps out at me because I love new things.
Ooh, yeah, new is fun, isn't it? Who likes old? New is great. Okay, so new, no sea.
It's weird that the sky disappears.
Yeah. Yep. So yours translates heaven as sky, huh?
It says that for the present earth and sky had disappeared.
Okay. Yep. So that's an interesting thing. So some of your translations are just going to say sky, and others are going to say heaven, right?
Mhm.
How many of you say sky? Give me a hand raise here. Is anybody's? Only one or two? Okay, most everyone says heaven. Yeah, so what happens is like, heaven is, I think, a better term here, except for the fact that we have wrapped heaven with all this language about, sitting on clouds and strumming harps and things like that.
Gold
But-
streets.
Yeah, but heaven is supposed to be a word that is intentionally ambiguous. Like it's supposed to move between sky and dimension, right? So when you translate something sky, you make it more clear. And I'm not sure that that's what you want to do. Like I think the ambiguity is important. I think even in like Genesis 1:1, that ambiguity actually helps. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The place up there where the gods dwell and the birds and that world, and the world where humans walk around and do things down here. And whether it's sky or it's where God lives has to be figured out from context, and it's not always clear, and I think maybe purposeful.
Mhm. Sure.
So we're supposed to be saying, this is all different now. Okay, it's passed away. Does that bother you that it's passed away? But we saw a new heaven and a new earth. But later on in verse 5, he's going to say, "Behold, I am making all things new." Not I'm making all new things. I'm making all things new. So we get this struggle between, is the old one gone? Has he destroyed it and started it over again? Or is there something that is coming up out of it?
A recreation.
A recreation. Yeah.
Yeah, I think of like a human, like when I'm recreated in Christ, my old self isn't gone. It's just I become totally new.
Good. Yeah. You become totally new, but not totally new. Yeah.
Well, I behave, and also like life after death, like this true human. Jesus is the true human. Like we become more real, I guess, like Pinocchio. Like I guess we become a real boy.
Yeah. Or the Velveteen Rabbit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Become more real.
Isn't this what he promised in the first, the last couple chapters? That hold on, I'll make it all new.
Gonna make it all new.
I mean, isn't this a promise fulfilled?
I think that's exactly what it is. The question is, what does it mean to make it all new?
Make it all new. Get rid of the old.
Okay,
Remember,
so
he undid
everything,
creation.
so does that mean the earth is destroyed like nuclear bomb and then he creates a new earth? That was the question. Like, yes, you're right. That's the promise. But Josh was saying it's like Jesus, right? Jesus was new, but not new. He still had the scars in his hands. That's why I chose the picture. Those of you who saw the picture today of a stump with new growth coming up out of it. Like, it's not that the other thing has been destroyed, but it's certainly been, and I mean, it's probably not a good analogy. It's certainly been pruned up an awful lot to the point that
I
you
think-
cut it all the way down.
I think of it as making everything perfect,
Yeah.
not necessarily doing away with the old totally, but making the new earth is perfect. And new heaven is perfect, joined together perfectly.
Which
In a
means
perfect-
none of this anymore, and
Mhm.
yet still this.
Yeah.
I
What,
think,
what,
right? Because
about
it's like I don't want us to lose like when we say perfect, it's like, okay, well then there's nothing more. Like we've kind of reached the crescendo, like the climax. It's it. I don't know that that's it. I think perfect in the sense of mature and complete, but maybe there's room for creativity, and we'll get to that when we get later on in here. Like, can we create new masterpieces? Is somebody going to be painting?
Yes.
Somebody going to do some new concert that nobody's ever done music like that before? I hope so. We're just guessing, right? Remember, this is all just a picture. John doesn't know what the new world is going to be like either. It's a picture, and it's trying to play with our imagination, which is
Well,
why I love.
we're made in the image of God, and He's the creator. And so we have this creative spirit within us, already. So it will be more perfect.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, more perfect. I like that. Yeah. All right, and why won't there be any sea? Kathy said there won't be any sea, and that was frustrating. No oceans.
Chaos.
Yeah. Right. Don't worry if you like surfing. If you need surfing to be in heaven, there'll be surfing in heaven. Okay, because you're going to be, it's your greatest joys and longings stretched out for eternity. Right. That's the picture that I like. Okay, but the sea is the chaos. Remember, we've talked in here before about Tiamat from the Enuma Elish, if you've ever read that, where Marduk attacks Tiamat, the dragon, which is actually, I think, his grand aunt or something like that, but she's a dragon. And I don't know, they don't have family counseling or something. Instead, they just go to war, and he ends up shredding Tiamat and putting half down and half up, and earth walks on body down here, and the gods live up here. Right? It's that chaos monster. It's the ordering, putting things in. It's Genesis 1 again, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. What is it? Am I on mute? No, it's
Nope.
exactly what it is. This is a climax of the whole Bible. This is like the mirror image of Genesis. Yeah,
I know.
this is it.
It's so cool looking.
Yeah.
It's just Genesis 1 again, where God is starting. Remember, this is what he's doing when he creates. He ordered, let there be light. Okay, separate the waters from the waters. Separate the waters from the waters this way. Okay, day 4, we're going to put sun, moon, and stars in the light thing. Day 5, we're going to put the birds and the sea from day 2. Day 6, we're going to put man and animals from what arrived in day 6. The land comes. He's organizing the house. He's taking the boxes. Those of you who remember the Genesis class, right? And he's putting them back where they belong. He's making things livable. He's hanging the pictures in the house so that he can rest. He's ordering things. And this is what's happening. We're getting rid of the chaos. The sea is gone. Okay? No more sea. That's the first one. It's gone. No more chaos, only order, only beauty, only goodness from here on out. So think about the implications of no chaos, like the world we live in. Because I don't think they're creating a new earth, if I wasn't clear enough about that. I think it's the old earth restored, returned, shuv. It's the word returned all throughout the Old Testament. They return from exile to the land to make it a new land, a new creation, a recreation. So this is a recreation, just like the flood was an uncreation, and and it destroyed the world, but it didn't really destroy the world. It's still the same world, just washed it clean, right? Something's going to happen that's going to clean this up. Peter says it's going to be fire. Again, might be metaphor. We don't have any idea, but whatever it is, the same one that God is building and creating. Now we've got none of those things that bring chaos. So that means no tsunamis, no typhoons, no tornadoes, no Tasmanian devils, even the cartoon kind that are all wild and chaotic, right? No earthquakes, nothing that is sending people running for the hills or finding new homes, nothing creating refugee camps, nothing leaving people dead, homeless, whatever else. No fires in Canada. I heard you guys are smelling and feeling the haze up there in the Midwest. Is that right? Yeah, like it's pretty
Terrible.
heavy up there.
Mhm.
So yeah, we don't see much of it down here yet, but I'm sure it's coming. And you California people know what that's like because you spend half of your life looking at those fires. Like no more of those fires are happening. No more airliners or Titanics going down into icy waters where people are dying. No more children accidentally killing themselves or a sibling because their parents kept a loaded gun. Foolishness. No more people walking into crowded malls or churches or schools with a grudge and an automatic weapon. Like that's all this chaos, and there is no more of that. Like this is kind of exciting. When the news comes on, it's going to be like John Krasinski's news during COVID. You guys, anybody watch that, right? Okay, some of you know what I'm talking about there. It's just the good stuff. It's like, what happened today? Well, there were no deaths, no school shootings today, and no typhoons. Pretty much everybody really loves everybody. And we saw another random act of kindness. In fact, we got 35 that we need to tell you about just happening. And like, that was super fun.
Hey,
No more
so
chaos.
I walked into Stitch in Time, and these older ladies, they knit, and they're like, this is just a perfect group. And I asked them, I had the audacity. I go, which one of you is the best? And they all looked at me like appalled. They're like, how dare you ask this question? You know, I was like, what? I looked at them like, are you guys all looking at me like this? Like, what did I say? They're like, no, we don't like, there's no competition there. They all help each other. I was like, this must be what heaven's like. You know, like is this what heaven's gonna be like? I don't know. I just thought maybe that's it. And then there's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Yeah. I'm quite sure that Gracie said, I'm definitely the worst. That's what Gracie told me all the time. I'm just like hanging out with these people, but I can't do it at all. So I think she's lying. Probably better.
I have a hard time imagining complete and total calm and like nothing, because maybe I'm a dramatic person, I don't know, but I operate in structural tension or dynamic tension. You know, this happens, so I have to go do that. You know, just a push-pull and everything. And so when there's no like impetus to do anything, well, we're just all going to sit here and
Yeah, that's a great point. I've thought about that a lot of times. Does there being no chaos mean that there's no challenge? I don't think so. So maybe there's tension. There's good tension. Like I think Adam had to work in the garden before. Like I don't think the curse is working. He had to get things to grow, and I can't imagine that everything just like he didn't have to hoe. What does it even mean to work in a garden if you're not hoeing? If you're not like doing normal things? So there has to be tension, just not negative. Is that even possible? I don't even know.
It's called eustress, not distress.
Ooh,
Eustress is good stress.
that's like a real thing. Eustress?
Eustress, EUSTRESS. Look it up.
it's
Say
the
more.
push and pull.
Give me at least another sentence or two. This is new information for me.
Oh, well, it's a real thing that if we did not have eustress, that would be an absence of all stress, and we would be dead.
Oh.
You can't have nothing and be living.
Okay. All right. So Mary has
And
added
some
this
people
to
like-
our party words. Thank you.
And some people like more than others. Like some people like love to sail because the sea is dangerous and challenging.
Right. Yeah. So maybe we get to keep that. Yeah, if there's never any worry of getting hurt or something or having adrenaline or I don't know, God's going to work all that stuff out. Whatever is bad though is out. I think that's what we're supposed to understand from all this. We aren't supposed to really figure it out. We're supposed to imagine what life would be like as beautiful. And if you see it in a certain way, like you need that kind of stress or that tension, the wind, then you need that. That's fine. I think it's good. All right. Verse 2. I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. All right, let's talk. What do you got? You got a holy city. Like that's what Jerusalem is called, but this is not that Jerusalem. It's a new Jerusalem, which is not a new thing in Revelation, by the way. Apocalyptic books all over the place talk about a new Jerusalem. So this is a second temple understanding of something, so it's normal.
So there'll just be one place on earth called the New Jerusalem.
Kinda, but we're getting to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But what about the streets of gold that I grew up singing about in the streets of gold when we go to heaven?
It's in here.
Is
It's
it?
just not in verse 2. You got to wait for that, Kathy. You got to be patient for us to get to the streets of gold.
Okay,
They,
all right.
they will appear.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to walk them. It's going to be great. But for right now, it's just this new Jerusalem. And once again, talking about the pictures that I chose, that I sent out to you guys, or some of you got it. I randomly send that out. So some of you don't get them, some of you do. But one of the pictures was a huge, giant cube coming down out of heaven that lands on the globe on earth. And it's like, okay, coming down out of heaven from God, this holy city. Is it in one place? What about the rest of the world? Okay, we're getting to that too. That's all going to be super important. But right now we just have this symbol of Zion, this perfect place that God has been working on, and now he's going to be expanding. I mean, what's Jerusalem really? Jerusalem is the place where God dwells, right? That's what we're hoping for. Okay, it's where the temple is. It's where the tabernacle, not technically, but where the tabernacle is, where God dwells, right? It's Mount Sinai, where God dwells. It's the Garden of Eden. Well, it's Eden, okay? It's where God dwells. Okay, that's all these symbols are. It's the sanctuary. It's where God is. And this is what's happening, is that God is finally coming to dwell with man. This is what we've been waiting for. All of you who are looking like, I can't wait to go to heaven, are missing the whole point. The point is that God's coming here, right? He wants to dwell with us as these new worlds, these dimensions overlap. Don't think of something coming out of heaven. Think of something becoming visible. It's a better way of seeing it. Think about this multidimensionality. All of a sudden you can see through the scrim and the world is growing around you. Okay, that's what's happening here. And this is the place where God dwells. We're going to find out later on that the temple is kind of the people of God. We're also going to find out later on that the temple is kind of God, like God dwells in this city temple thing. There's not really a temple. He dwells in the city as the temple, and he is the city at the same time. And the people are the city. It's this weird vision that we've got to walk through the whole thing, but I just want to get you prepared for it when it comes. And they're adorned as a bride for her husband, which is in contradistinction to the harlot from before, right? This earthly city had been a prostitute, while the New Jerusalem is a bride, right? That's the great thing here. And I know, I thought this was important. Oh, good, Travis.
Is there a reason you think why that's flipped? Like normally the church and whatnot, like we're the bride and God is the groom. But in this one, it's like prepared like a bride, like God's city is the bride and we're the groom. Like it's flipped.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I think the city is actually the people of God coming down. So these are the ones who've been waiting. How long, oh Lord? And now they're coming and they're connecting with us, and God is coming together, and everything is finally meeting together. So they've been waiting all this time, right? Like we've been waiting. They've been waiting way longer for God to come. So remember when we talked about betrothal, the husband leaves and the women wait. And then while he builds the house and gets everything ready, and they never know when the bridegroom will come back, right? It might be during the night. It might be during the day. You don't have any idea. There's a Bible verse all about that, right? But then he comes back and then they join him. So this is the new heavens coming down, all of these coming. And I notice that this is a creation of God, right? This is not something, remember we talked about the different millennial ideas? There's a post-millennialism, premillennialism, amillennialism. Post-millennialism basically says we create the city of God. And there's something to that, but ultimately, God creates the city of God, right? He uses us to help do that, but there is a real sense in which God is coming to earth, not in which we just kind of make him there. We build to such an evolutionary point that finally, we got people living 200 years, right? This is what I heard this last week, but I'm sure you've heard it many times before. The person who lives to 200 years old is already alive right now, right? So that's going to happen in the next 70 years. People are going to live to be 200 years old, pretty much guaranteed. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about God doing something, right? By the way, it's not just 200 years. It's forever and ever, according to this. All right, anything else about verse 2 that grabs you? I don't have anything else to say there. All right, verse 3. He hears this loud voice from the throne saying, behold, the dwelling of God is with men. He will dwell with them and they shall be his people, and God himself will be with them. I really should have connected 2 and 3 because we've talked about all this, right? God is coming down to be with them, to make his dwelling, which is, by the way, the word tabernacle, right? Or tent. It's the same thing when it says that Jesus dwelt with man. He tabernacled, or he was the dwelling place of God. All of God is in Christ, is in Jesus. So this dwelling that takes place there. And they shall be. Go ahead, what?
It's like 1 Peter 2:9. Like the whole point of the Bible is this place where God's going to dwell, and he's going to dwell amongst his people. Like this is the promise. And that the gift of the Holy Spirit seems to be like this thing that the prophets before, they were like, this is what their anticipation was. This place where God dwells. We're walking tabernacles, and to be in God's presence. What does that mean? How would that even feel? What would that mean in heaven? I don't even think it's comprehensible. Like I don't know. I think we get foretastes of it here on earth. Like,
yeah, I think you're right. That's exactly right. We get foretastes on earth, and these foretastes come in 1,000 different ways. It comes from windsurfing, right? You need that kind of tension. It comes from going to church sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't come from going to church, right? It comes from helping a little old lady across the street, or putting up a food pantry in your city that allows people to take and those kinds of things. Whatever the things are that you're doing, these are little foretastes of heaven that are all going to be made real and visible. And this says go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is one of my favorite themes in scriptures from an emotional standpoint. There's so much that I do with the text academically and thinking and mentally and that kind of thing. But when it comes to actually tapping my emotions and making me feel something for God, that possessive sense that we get to use in this text, my God, that's perhaps because I guess the thing for me is like, I have very bad self-talk, and so I'm constantly telling myself, hey, you idiot, or hey, what's up, fucker? Just really blasting myself in my mind. And just the thought that God would give me permission to say, my God, as if he wants me to say, my God, in light of all my sin, and everything. This is the one theme in scripture that hits me the most emotionally.
Yeah. Yeah. We will be his people. You can say, you are my God. Like that is very cool. That's emotionally powerful.
What jumps out to me is, and I'm gonna feel dumb if this has already been discussed somewhere else and I'm just not remembering. A loud voice from the throne. Who sits on a throne?
Mhm.
I would think that would be God,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a voice speaking about God. So who's on the throne?
Yeah.
Or is it the throne speaking?
Hey, that's a great point. That one I didn't really pick up on. I heard a loud voice.
Is God one of those weirdos that talks about himself in the third person?
Yeah.
Hey, God can do what he wants.
Yeah. Usually it's angels speaking, right? And of course, an angel can be standing in the throne room that's speaking. So it might be that simple. It could be Jesus speaking from the throne. We already know that Jesus is sitting on the throne and God is sitting on the throne in some kind of a way that they're supposed to be kind of mingled but not mingled. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a throne room scene. Have we seen that before?
It just makes me think Wizard of Oz. There's this voice and we don't know what it's coming from.
Yeah, he's behind the
Pull back the
behind
curtain.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, maybe it's just a proclamation that comes from the throne by God himself. The sound of rushing waters, we're going to see that a lot, where he's making a present proclamation about himself. I don't know. It's a great thing to note, though. That's the kind of close reading that we should be doing. And I'm going to miss a ton of it. It's great, though. I did notice this. This is one thing that was in here that I noticed that I doubt that you're going to notice, is that it says he will dwell with them, and they shall be his. What does it say there for you guys?
People.
Peoples.
How many people say people, and how many people say peoples? Who says people? Who says singular? Singular. Singular. Yeah, literally every single person I can see is holding their hands up. Singular.
I've got peoples.
Oh, Randall has peoples. Okay. So, and that's what it is. Things that are there, peoples. Plural. Which is different. I mean, it's a word we don't use very much as Americans in American English. Peoples, like monies. We just pluralize it by saying people. And we pluralize money by just saying money. Right? But it means something different when you say monies. Right? It means there's different denominations of monies usually there. And that's the same kind of idea that we get from peoples. There's some sort of ethnicity thing going on here. Lots of different, not just lots of people, but lots of different kinds of people. So it's peoples. They shall be his peoples, and God himself will be with them. Which brings into question all kinds of things like, well, okay, if the temple is coming down, which we're going to see the size of the temple and all that weird stuff, it's coming down and it rests in America, like what about the rest? Or of course we say it's not going to rest in America, it's going to rest in Jerusalem, right? In Palestine. Okay, well, still, what about the rest? They all got to make their way there. I mean, it's big, it's huge, but it doesn't cover the entire earth. At least not if you do the actual measurements of it. Okay. Although I am going to hint, I think that that's exactly what it does. It covers the whole earth. That's what you're supposed to think here, because it contains all the peoples. But there are people outside too, which is going to be weird, but we're going to get to that. I'm not going to be able to solve that problem because it's imagery, but we'll get there. So, all right. So that's all I see in verse 3.
I think that raises an interesting question. Is if since it says peoples, that doesn't mean that he's going to erase the differences in the ethnicities.
That's right. Yeah.
And even to push it a little further against an often just assumed theological truth, that means that there really is still a distinction between Jew and the nations, even though we like to cite Paul and interpret that verse where he says there is no Jew or Greek, there is no male nor female, there is no slave nor free. We like to say that therefore means there's no distinction between Jews and the nations. I think even in this New Jerusalem, there's a sense in which the Jews are still going to be distinct in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I think people who are Israeli will be different than people who are Palestinian, will be different from people who are Chinese and Hungarian. I think those are going to be, I think they're essential to who we are. And I think they're beautiful. So I think when Paul says there's no distinction, he means there's no longer a select group that's been called out to go and be a light to the rest of the world. Like we all Christians are now doing. Like there's Gentiles are welcome, which is what I think the whole New Testament is about, by the way. If you were to sum up the New Testament, it's that Gentiles get to come in by the blood of the Lamb now too. Or not now, but it's more evidence, more obvious. They have been brought in. So, but I think that's a huge point. And I wrote it right there. We aren't all the same ethnicity, and we all need all of us. So what Randall was just saying is exactly true. So we should be practicing this now in whatever ways we can, right? First Pres Winston-Salem, let's see, Northminster Presbyterian Church, Warsaw Evangelical Presbyterian Church. We have any non-Presbyterians here? Wherever, let's see, Karen goes to a community church. Randall goes to an Anglican church. I don't know, Alliance. What do you do?
I'm trying to find someplace, but right now we're checking out a Branches Vineyard.
Oh, Vineyard Church. Holy mackerel. Okay, Vineyard Church, they're not part of it. I'm just kidding. Vineyard's great too, right? All of you are in different places, wherever you're at. We should all be inviting in. If you've got a church that is 100% looks just like you, please do what you can. Work hard to keep it from happening. Right? Anyway, all right. He will wipe every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain anymore, for the former things have passed away. So here's that. There's this one here, right? Tears, death, mourning, and pain. I don't have this anymore. Now, this is my kind of church. Nice. Good job, Travis. Yep. All right, so this restoration, this new world, doesn't contain anything that is negative in it, which we've said a lot of times. And Isaiah speaks the same way about when the new world is restored, there won't be anything negative. And all the dominant markers of the old creation are gone. That's what's trying to get across here. Anything that robs us of life is gone. Okay, Naked Pastor gets the credit. So that means like implications here, right? If these things are true, no more tears, death, mourning, pain, no more tears. All right. So first of all, I assume that means when you cut an onion, it's just nothing but pleasant. That's right. But more realistically, you know, when your kid comes in having skinned the knee and is just crying, or somebody has teased them, or someone has teased you, and maybe you're not actually crying because you're a man or something like that, but inside you're bawling because someone has been mean, right? It doesn't stop in adulthood. They're still bullying or mocking or rolling their eyes at or looking down at. All those things that cause you to not feel confident, to not feel like a son or daughter of God, right? Those things all go away. It means no more headaches from those annoying children or that annoying spouse who's snarky or whatever. Or no more allergies, right? No more having to wear a mask during COVID. No more having to wear a mask in Warsaw, Winona Lake because of the fire haze is coming down. My son was wearing a mask today. He's like, sorry, I'm outside. It's terrible out here. I don't know how terrible it was if he was lying, but whatever. None of that's happening anymore. That means no more stillbirths. It means no more divorce. Means no more heartbreak from girlfriends, boyfriends, children annoying, whatever that heartbreak is. No more getting so old that your body breaks down and then eventually dies. Right? None of that's happening. This is Isaiah 65:20. 65:20. Never again will there be in it an infant who lives but a few days, or an old man who does not live out his years. He who dies at 100 will be thought a mere youth. He who fails to reach 100 will be considered accursed. Just we get older and older. And he's saying, no. 100 being youth, yeah, that's true. Like, because they're gonna last forever. Forever life.
So no more tears. What if you get to heaven and one of your loved ones didn't make it? If I get there and its son or daughter is not there.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain those kinds of things. I know that somehow God will have reconciled all things to himself in a way that you will be okay with.
Yeah,
And I don't know what that means.
it's hard to wrap my brain around.
I know. Yep. Yeah, that's a great question. Will we even know our loved ones? I don't know.
My dad was convinced we won't recognize anyone because then we'll be busy wondering how so-and-so made it up there. He was convinced.
That's right. Good not to recognize them. What the heck are they doing here?
Yeah,
That's the beauty of C.S. Lewis's Great Divorce, is they're having that conversation. Like, how did you get up here? This doesn't make any sense. That's not fair. Very angry about that, which is hilarious. I think, yes, I'd like that too. Busy worshiping God. Who was it? It wasn't Jonathan Edwards. It was the other reformer at the same time from England that came over and spoke. John Whitfield. It was is that right?
George Whitfield.
George Whitfield? Yeah, is that right? George Whitfield. George Whitfield and Charles Wesley, they were directly opposite. There's animosity towards their theology. Wesley is all about free will and, just you choose Jesus and all that stuff. And Whitfield was like, no, sovereignty of God. He chooses, like, it's the whole Calvinism debate that you've heard in every church, right? So John Whitfield's a Calvinist, Wesley is an Arminian, right? And so Whitfield was asked, will you see Charles Wesley in heaven? And his answer was, I will not see Charles Wesley in heaven. They were just like, whoa. And he said, yeah, as far as I know about Charles Wesley, he'll be so much closer to Jesus than I will. I'll never get a chance to see him, which is just a beautiful picture. I have no idea, but you hear his point. Like, even though we disagreed with each other, that man is a holy man. I trust him. I love him. He's gonna be there, loving Jesus, even though it's so much against each other.
I want to know how mature our entire being will be. Like our bodies, our mental and our emotional beings. Like, will we all be 30 years old because that was the age of coming of age in Jewish thought? Or are we all going to be 25 because that's the best body that we could have?
Yep.
And the thing about that is, if we're recognizing one another, my grandfather passed away when I was 9. He's not going to know me as a 39 or whatever year old, So are we going to be known the way we were known? So he's going to see me as a 9-year-old, whereas, other people will see me at whatever age they knew me.
Nice job, Mary. Yes.
That's like in a dream. You guys ever notice in dreams, sometimes you don't really see the person, but it's that person.
Yeah.
Like you can't, I don't remember seeing the person's face, but it's like, I know that it was that person, that particular person.
Yep. Absolutely.
People will
We'll
just
be
know.
known by our aura.
Yeah.
All we're doing right now is completely speculating and imagining and having fun. The Bible doesn't want to answer these questions for you. So it'll be the Nexus from Star Trek. Yep, probably so. Yeah, that's exactly what it will be.
Jace, do you remember the movie Cocoon?
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
I kind of think of that sometimes.
Yeah, where they're still in their old bodies, but they're youthful and
Yeah.
loving life and just,
And they like float. Yep.
cool. But this isn't answering that question. The point is, imagery wise, right? All things are good now, whatever that looks like, right? Just whatever it looks like. And he who sat on the throne said, behold, I will make all, or no, sorry, behold, I make all things new. And he also said this, write this, for these words are trustworthy and true. So God is finally, it seems like God is finally speaking. Like Amy said before, there seems to be just a proclamation that was made from the throne. It didn't seem to be God speaking, but now he breaks the silence. He's declaring everything is made new. Again, not that everything is being created again, right? Not that he's making all new things, but that he's making all things new. He's not scrapping the old and starting over. He's doing like the earth. He's cleansed it in some way, like the flood stories, cleansed it. And there's new life coming up out of it. Okay. He does this in Narnia. It's a beautiful story in Narnia. It's in The Magician's Nephew, where Aslan is singing, right? And everything just starts blooming, just starts coming up. Life just starts just everywhere. Even things that accidentally got into the land in Narnia, like remember the woman, anybody read this story a long time ago? The woman in the real world threw a piece of a lamp, broke off a piece of the lamppost and threw it, and it ended up in Narnia, and it landed there. And when Aslan started singing, even the lamppost started growing, and that's the lamppost that you know from Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Just because everything is becoming new and beautiful again. Of course, the White Witch messes all that up, and makes it all evil. But this is the end of the story. So you got to go to the last battle for all that. All right. An angel declares the words are true. I already said, I think, I don't think this means that when there's going to be no innovation, it's not going to be anything new. Hokema is a scholar, well, he's a scholar, New Testament scholar. He writes this, he says, will there be better Beethovens on the new earth? Shall we then see better Rembrandts, better Raphaels? Shall we read better poetry, better drama, and better prose? Will scientists continue to advance in technological achievements? Will geologists continue to dig out the treasures of the earth? Will architects continue to build imposing and attractive structures? Will there be enticing new adventures in space travel? And you just keep going, right? Whatever you're in, will it continue? Will it be better? Right? Definitely there'll be no more law, but no one's going to be practicing law, but it's
I'll be out of work. It'll be great.
Yep. Yeah. No hospitals, no doctors, I guess.
No mental illness, no physical illness.
Yeah. Yeah. What does that look like? What is your job going to be over? I got 15 minutes. Okay. That's all right. I'm doing fine. I'm having fun. Let's get as far as we get. I got no goals today. Can you, what does this new mean to you? In your mind's eye, in your imagination, what's going to happen? Is there going to be new flavors of ice cream that's going to be super enticing? Definitely new flavors of Doritos. They do that every couple of years, right? It's going to be something new there.
There's the two most important days of your life: the day you were born, and the day you find out the reason why. And people could go their whole lives, living their lives, maybe feeling that they don't have purpose, or they're not sure if their job is exactly what they should be doing.
Sure.
I think in heaven, we'll have this intrinsic, just true purpose, where I think we'll be working, but we'll be working towards something that is uniquely fulfilling our purpose.
I love it. I love that. Yeah, we find out our purpose, and we'll be uniquely fulfilling that, whatever it is. Yeah. Mindy asked, is there going to be a Bible? Because we use the Bible to guide us in wisdom on earth. Will we need it up there? I don't know that we'll need it. But I can't imagine that it would ever just disappear. because it's God's special revelation to us that this is where he tells us about himself, where he reveals himself. So I can't imagine such an incredible, wonderful thing would go away. But on the other hand, the Ark of the Covenant is where he revealed himself in the Old Testament, right? That's the presence of God was there. So maybe things can be done away with in this new world. Maybe we don't, not only not need it, it would actually be something we might worship or something that would get in our way. So it has to be done away with. Good questions. I don't know.
I think that would be like having a bunch of love letters where you've communicated with somebody by mail or something like that. And then you meet the person in real life and you're like, I need to read these letters and not hang out with you. Like, we'll have the actual person, like we'll have God. We don't need the letter anymore. You know? But there is still the letters are like, you know, you reminisce and like these letters are special.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I still love reading love letters. I mean, they remind you of what somebody was thinking at a certain time in life, or what you were thinking. So yeah. We don't know. So many questions that we have that we don't know the answers to as we read Revelation. Right? Having children, yeah. I mean, the Bible says that we're not giving, Jesus says we're not giving or living, not giving or taking in marriage, right? So we're like the angels and that we don't get married and things like that. But what does that mean? Does that mean there's no more making love? Does that mean there's no more procreation? John doesn't want to answer any of those questions for you.
Earth's already full anyway.
Questions. What?
So the Earth's already full anyway.
That's right. Yeah, we got enough.
I forget who was quoted as saying that be fruitful and multiply. That's the like one command we've like checked off the list. It seems like, yeah, we've done that one pretty well.
We did that one, yeah. Yeah. All right. He says to me, verse 6, it is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirsty, I will give from the fountain of the water of life without payment. Ooh. Anything there grab a hold of you? We just have a few minutes. What is it that's done? I wish I had my Greek Bible. My guess is that that's the Greek words tetelestai, but I'm not sure and I know somebody will jump on Blue Letter Bible right now and tell me for sure. Tetelestai in Greek, it's what Jesus said on the cross. It's done. It's finished. I wonder if it's the same language there. I didn't check that. And the Alpha and the Omega, right, which is just the first letter of the Greek alphabet and the last letter of the Greek alphabet, the beginning and the end. So he's able to see the past and the future all at once. In some way, it all becomes one to him. I don't know that means he's timeless. I don't know what that means exactly. As soon as we start talking about time as mortals, we're screwed, right? Because we start talking about before and after, and everything is time oriented. We can't even have conversation without time orientation. So I think God does interfere in our time. He's within our time, but it at least means he knows all about it. He's Alpha and Omega. He'll give the fountain of the water of life without payment. The water of life. We've got the tree of life, which we're going to see again later, chapter 22. Here's the water of life that we've been waiting for.
It's not the same.
It's not the same word?
Not according to Bible Hub. It says it's the same as the who also were in Christ from Romans 16:7. It's that word.
How does that have it is done?
So I don't know. You're the Bible guy. But I mean, you're Old Testament.
I know.
Says
Greek,
it's
Gegonin.
I don't. You know. There you go.
That's not going to help me. Sorry. Okay, it's way too far away. All right. Well, maybe I'll look it up. Maybe I won't care enough after we're done. It's kind of like maybe we'll figure out all these things when we get to heaven. Maybe we won't care. Maybe we'll just love life. No, we got all these great questions. Gegonin. Okay, it is done. I don't-
Is how they transliterate it.
Right, yeah, I need the actual Greek letters. Can you type the Greek letters for me?
Don't think I have this. I could, well, let me see.
That's okay.
Hold
Even
on,
then,
I'm
I
on
would, no, it's all right. It probably won't help me. It seems like no matter what, Gegonin is not from the word telestai. So
It might
how
be.
that would come from the same one. So it's definitely something different.
And hey, we kind of jumped over the answer to the question, who's on the throne? The one seated on the throne said, I am making everything new.
Right,
He is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega. So now we know who's sitting on the throne.
yeah,
I've got telos as the word for verse 6.
oh, okay. So telos is the word for complete or goal or purpose.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to do some work there. So that might have the same in it to tell us. I just have to look at it. I don't know enough Greek to do that from the top of my head.
So maybe when he says it is finished, he means life as we know it, it's done. I'm not hanging on any longer, this or that. It is done. The earth, as we have all lived in it, screwed it up, done what we wanted to do. It is done. And it'll be no more. It's
Right.
just, it's the earth and how we've treated it, it's over and done.
Yep.
I let you down there long enough and you couldn't do anything to keep messing it up. You're done.
My wife has a shirt that has Jesus going like this and it says disappointments, all of you.
Yeah,
It's inappropriate. My wife's inappropriate sometimes.
yeah. I know your wife. She's awesome because of that. There's Anna Rubin in our church gave me a book today that had the story of creation. And on day 6, it says, and God listened. It's a poetic retelling of it. It's not really the creation story. It's just using the creation language. It says, on day 6, and God listened, and he worried that we might not make it, or something like that, that his creation might not survive, or something like that. And, you know, which I thought was kind of what you were saying, Kathy, like they're like, that part's done. You made it.
Yep.
Somehow you made it.
Yeah.
And I know how you made it. I'm the one who helped you, God says,
Right.
right? I got you through all this stuff. But now that world is done. Now you finally reached the end, the beginning. The end is the beginning,
Yeah.
right? Which is, again, oh my goodness, that great line in the last battle, right? Where it's in the very last chapter of last battle, they opened up the last chapter of the last book, and it was, man, I would love to be able to, if somebody finds that quote for me in the next 3 minutes, that would be great. The last chapter of the last book. I could do it, but I'll mess all of this up somehow. Never mind, I'll just be quiet. Somebody asked a question in there in the chat.
Yeah, and the snarky guy replied.
Okay. Will you remember this world? We'll still have, that's good, yes. Yep. I think so. I think we've got to remember this world to some extent, right? Like, we're going to be here, so we're going to remember trees and rocks and all those things and rivers. But also, I feel like there's no way that we could forget the sacrifice of Christ on the cross. There's no way we could forget the stories of creation and redemptive mystery that's going on through all time. I think that's got to be remembered.
So the same guy that had the vision at Denny's of hell with the sea, the drowning lady and the holes in the desert where the bodies were being ripped apart and then put back together, and then the lake of fire. Well, his vision he said he had a vision of heaven as well. And the thing that stuck out to me most about his vision, this is this man's vision, is that the trees were singing the praises of God. That's the one thing he said, which is a beautiful depiction, I thought. The other thing that was interesting about his vision, he said there were colors that we don't have here, he's never seen before. They're different colors.
Yeah.
And he said, what else did he say? Those are the two, and that when he stepped on the grass, this is in his vision, by the way. So take it for what it is. The grass, after he stepped on it, when he looked back, the grass went right back to where it was. And it just was, everything was, I guess, in a sense, more real, or like going back to the perfect comment. Like, I don't know if perfect is the right word, but like complete, like the grass was going back to its original state. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that colors being more vivid or new colors, right? And Narnia does that too. That's why Lewis is just so brilliant, right? It's like as they're traveling and they're looking, as they're coming close to the end, and he looks up and he says, you know, these colors, the sky, these blues are different blues than we have in our world. Something new. You're holding up a phone, but I don't know what it says on it. So you're just holding it.
You want the last chapter of the last battle?
I found it while he was talking, but you can read it for me. Go for it.
Well, I don't want to read it. Here,
Okay.
Snarky can read it.
I don't
He's
mind
got
reading
it on his phone.
Okay.
So
Says,
all you
and
have to
as
do is
he-
listen, not be speaking.
And as he spoke, he no longer looked to them like a lion, but the things that began to happen after that were so great and beautiful that I cannot write them. And for us, this is the end of all the stories, and we can most truly say that they all lived happily ever after. But for them, it was only the beginning of the real story. All their life in this world and all their adventures in Narnia had only been the cover and the title page. Now, at last, they were beginning chapter 1 of the great story which no one on earth has read, which goes on forever, in which every chapter is better than the one before. Oh, yeah. All right, that seems like a good ending at 9:14, 1 minute prior. Such a great, we have that final line inscribed on my wife's, we have a bench back at our church, which is where I go when, like, you know, you have gravestones. I don't have a gravestone. We have a bench, and that line is inscribed there. One of her favorite lines. That, you know, the last chapter. It's just beginning. All this life up until now, it's just the title page, the cover page, and now she's entering chapter 1 of the real story. So, all right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for the heart there. I see that. I don't know if I missed any other good ones. If I missed something in the chat, sorry. Love you anyway. Thanks, Josh. All right, let's cut our Facebook feed. Bye, Facebook friends. Hope you had fun. Oh, it's already gone.